closing public comment. I was speaking with the assessor, Jack Westerman, the other day about how we tax and how we assess properties in different zones. And is it the zone that is currently in effect, or is it the highest and best possible use with different zoning? And he stated, and if anyone is interested, they may want to check with Mr. Westerman, that the county is assessed at the current zoning level, not at its potential zoning level, which is, of course, a concern for anyone who's interested in acquiring property, parkland. So anyway, that can be double checked if anyone is particularly interested in that, but it is the current zoning, not what it could possibly become.
I was going to comment that Mr. Fritz was correct about the homeless issue and people using the shelter more. There's been a lot larger use of the shelter in the past few weeks, and it's not, OLECAP is keeping track of those numbers, and Coast is coordinating a lot of the work in there, and they're actually having meetings trying to decide how they're going to respond to what really is success, the problems of success of having so many people come, and even having people show up just because they're hungry. They have a place to stay, but they're coming because the opportunity for the meal. And so they're trying to figure out, okay, how do we deal with that? And since the meals are prepared by volunteers, church groups have taken on a week at a time, and people are trying to think of how much to prepare, for this group. That becomes an issue. It's if you don't make enough, or what do you do with, people coming extra, and how do you limit it, if you limit it in any way because of size and that sort of thing. They're starting to become concerned about the number of people that they can manage there in that space, which seemed very adequate at first, but in this weather, it's a challenge. So I appreciate you bringing that up, but they are working on it right now, what alternatives they can find for that. So, a lot of good people stepping up to do that too every night. So appreciate that.
It certainly isn't. It isn't a long-term answer. And so I'm going to look at this land bank article. It sounds interesting.
Yeah, I put a little bit into that. Can't say I understand it fully.
Yeah, we only had 3, right? So we need one for the record. You got one? Okay.
Right, I just gave mine. Okay, great. All right, I'll make some more copies. Yeah, if you could make a copy when you get a chance. On surplus property, I know that we do have, the county operates a moderate risk waste facility that is located in the port facilities. And I'd like us to check to see, do we literally take computers that have risky parts and just throw them willy-nilly in a trash, or do they go into moderate risk waste? And
they go to a electronic waste recycler, so that they get pulled apart, and what's hazardous gets dealt with appropriately. What is, sometimes there's gold and other valuable things in small quantities, and I believe that gets recovered too.
Sure. I didn't think we just threw it in a dump.
At this time, we're not talking about computers, we're talking about workstations.
Right. I think that Mr. Church was referring to the computers.
Yeah.
But I think his point is, regardless of whether it gets recycled, that reuse is preferable, I think, in his mind, and is generally state policy that reuse is on the pecking order of solid waste management, waste reduction where you don't have it at all, reuse, recycling, disposal.
Any other comments, to public comment?
I didn't like to notice it, so.
Well, this afternoon, there will be we're going to finish today's session at about a little bit before 11:30. I have a call I have to take. And then we've got our a briefing session next, and first our the consent agenda.
And then commissioners, in addition to consent, I'll have 2 action items to put before you before we get to the briefing session if possible.
Okay, sure.
I'll move the consent agenda.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Consent agenda has been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. And then, Mr. County Administrator, you have some proposals?
Yes, Commissioners, events of this past week bring 2 action items before you. One is that we had a storm, significant snowstorm, and last Tuesday you adopted Resolution 0512, which authorized me, pursuant to previously adopted policies, to close facilities because of inclement weather for purposes of public safety and safety of our employees. And so, but it is subject to subsequent ratification by the board, either through motion and a resolution. And so what I've put before you is a resolution that would ratify the actions taken by me this past week. As you read through the resolution, it cites existing policy in our Jefferson County Personnel Administration Manual, Chapter 11, Section 17. It cites the resolution authorizing me to Resolution 0512, authorizing the county administrator to make a determination as to the curtailment of operations and facilities for the purposes of safety and welfare. Notes the storm beginning January 17 of 2012, which deposited significant amounts of snow, creating treacherous conditions during morning commute times, and that we did close the county courthouse and the Castle Hill administrative offices of Public Health, Department of Community Development, and Public Works Administration non-operational staff until 10 a.m. on the 18th, 19th, and 20th of January. And so it concludes, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners that the board hereby ratifies the closure of the Jefferson County Courthouse and Castle Hill offices, Public Health, Department of Community Development, and Public Works Administration non-operations until 10 a.m. on January 18, 19, and 20, 2012. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
First thing I would do is take one of the treacherouses out of the 4th item. It says amounts of snow creating treacherous road, treacherous conditions.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
I think it certainly got the point across about it being treacherous, though. And as I recall, the transit service was operating all 3 of those days on snow routes.
Snow routes, and some alternatives even to snow routes.
Yeah.
In some cases, the gathering property.
Any other suggested changes or comments, questions?
I will move the resolution there, then in the matter of temporary curtailment of operations due to inclement weather conditions on January 18th, 19th, and 20th, 2012.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded that the aforementioned resolution be passed. Any further discussion?
No. Other than it seemed like a very prudent move.
Yes. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. Then you had a second one?
Yes.
I think I just have one copy of that.
And the next item is Elizabeth Hill, who has been our clerk of the board for the past 3 months or so, has tendered her resignation. And during this time, until we have selected a new clerk of the board, under existing county resolution number 6807, that specifically states that staff of the commissioner's office can be designated to do duties of the clerk of the board. And so would request the commissioners to propose and pass a motion that would read, move pursuant to RCW 3632-110 and Jefferson County Resolution number 6807, that staff of the Commissioner's Office, including the Deputy Clerk of the Board, the Executive Assistant, and Executive Secretary, be designated to do necessary duties of the Clerk of the Board.
Okay.
So they share those duties.
Yes. Questions?
Is somebody designated as ultimately responsible? If you have 3 people doing a job, how do you know that
Well, there is-
communicating well enough? I think you.
I mean, there is a structure already within
Yeah.
the office in
Right.
terms of the job descriptions,
Hopefully it's under you.
the board and me, yes.
Well, I would move that pursuant to RCW 36.32.110 and Jefferson County Resolution number 68 dash.
It's approved. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous.
Because of nature of these events, needed to bring them on
ASAP.
outside the normal
Sure.
procedure.
Regarding the briefing session, it was, I'm sure all of us were kind of limited in how much we could do last week, but I did go to Fort Angeles, the regional department. Basically, more of the legislation. It's going to take a while to get answers from the DNR. They only have one person who's really designated. It's Craig Partridge, I believe. And he doesn't have a staff assigned to this, so they're kind of doing it when they can. One of the concerns I had is, as you may recall, we had the trust land transfer designation set up for the property between Gibbs Lake and Bozide Lake. And it wasn't funded for this biennium. And I got from Sue the information that it's going to automatically be put forward again in the next biennium. So basically, the property is there and it's protected. It's not going to be logged, and it'll be high on the list for the next funding cycle for TLT.